The first thing I learned about alien cages was that they didn't feel like cages. No bars, no chains, no cold metal clinking like in old Earth movies, just a smooth, humming room with walls that weren't walls so much as decisions. The air itself seemed programmed. Even the light was wrong, too soft, too even, like it couldn't decide whether it wanted to comfort me or watch me. I tested the corner with my palm. Warm, like the cage was alive. A whisper of panic crawled up my throat, and I swallowed it down the way you swallow fear when no one's coming to save you. Because no one was coming, not yet. I stood in the center of the room, barefoot on the seamless floor, wearing the same torn flight suit I'd been in when my ship went down. My pulse throbbed in my ears, too loud, too human. Then I heard it, breathing, not mine, slow and heavy like a storm, thinking. I turned, and the shadows near the far wall shifted. Something stood there tall enough that the dim light didn't quite reach its shoulders. A silhouette with a broad frame, thick arms, and a posture that screamed trained violence. My instincts did what they were built to do: freeze, measure, survive. The alien stepped forward. He was armored, but not in bulky plates like human soldiers. This was sleeker, woven layers like scaled fabric that caught the light in faint ripples. His helmet was off, and his face was not monstrous, not even ugly. Just different in a way that made my brain hesitate. His skin was a dark ash blue, marked with faint pale streaks that ran like lightning across his cheekbones and down his throat. His eyes, too bright, too silver, locked onto mine with the stillness of a predator who didn't need to prove anything. A scar cut through one eyebrow like someone had tried to end him and failed. I drew myself up, forcing my voice steady. "Where am I?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he tilted his head slightly, studying me like I was a question he couldn't ignore. Then, in a deep voice that sounded roughened by battle and distance, he spoke in accented but clear galactic trade. "Prison hold," he said. That was it. 2 words, like my situation didn't deserve anything more. My stomach tightened. "You're a prisoner too?" I asked, though it felt ridiculous. He looked like the kind of being who owned prisons. His gaze flicked to the faint collar around his neck, something I'd missed in the low light. A smooth band, tight and seamless, embedded with dull lights. It looked inactive, like it was waiting. He nodded once. "Captured," he said. "Dishonor." The word landed like a weight. He moved closer, slow and deliberate, not threatening but not trying to appear harmless either. The distance between us shrank until I could see the fine texture of his skin, the subtle rise and fall of his chest. He smelled like iron and smoke. I hated that part of me noticed. "My name is Mara," I said, "because sometimes the only weapon you have is refusing to be erased." He blinked once, long, almost thoughtful. "Karen," he replied. Then he looked away as if offering his name was a debt he didn't want to owe. The silence that followed was thick. The kind of silence where your thoughts get loud enough to hurt. I paced, tested the walls again, pushed harder this time. The wall pushed back, not with resistance, but with a gentle force that redirected my hand like a parent guiding a child away from a hot stove. I cursed under my breath. Karen's gaze tracked me. "You cannot break it," he said. "You'd be surprised what humans can break," I muttered. His mouth twitched slightly, not a smile exactly, but something close enough to make my chest squeeze. "You are small," he said, voice neutral, yet loud. "Yeah," I shot back, "that's kind of our whole thing." He watched me for a long moment, then sank down near the corner, sitting like he didn't feel trapped at all. Like the cage was just another battlefield where he was waiting for the right moment to strike. I envied that calm. I hated it too. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time inside alien ships felt slippery. Eventually, a slit of light opened in the wall and a tray slid through without sound. Food, water. I stared at it like it might bite me. Karen didn't move. "You're not eating?" I asked. "It is drugged," he said. I blinked. "How do you know?" He lifted one hand and pressed 2 fingers to his neck near the collar. "They need prisoners obedient." My throat went dry. "So we just starve?" He stared at me like I'd asked something obvious. "Endure," he said. I stared at the tray again. My stomach growled, furious and desperate. Then I sat down and took the water first, sniffed it, swirled it, touched a fingertip to it. No scent, no taste. "Great," I muttered. "Alien roofies." Karen's eyes narrowed. "What is roofies?" "Human word," I said. "Means someone's trying to make you stupid." He made a low sound in his throat that might have been amusement. I drank anyway, small sips, careful, like I could outsmart chemistry by being cautious. Karen watched, unmoving. "You will weaken," he said. "I'm already weak," I replied, "but I'm not dying quietly." That made him go still. Something shifted behind his eyes. I didn't know what it meant yet. The next time the door opened, it wasn't for food. It was for them. The guards came in like they were stepping into a room full of insects, three of them tall insectoid aliens with segmented armor and faces hidden behind narrow visors. Their weapons were compact, humming with blue energy. They pointed one at me. "Human specimen," the lead guard said in clipped trade. "Stand." My body didn't want to move, my legs shook, but I forced myself up anyway. Then the guard pointed at Karin. "And the traitor warrior, you will come." Karin rose with slow control. His shoulders were wide enough that the guards instinctively spread out like predators giving space to something even worse. One guard lifted a device. The collar around Karin's neck flashed and he jerked. His entire body seized like lightning had struck him from inside. He dropped to one knee, teeth clenched, breathing ragged. I flinched hard, the guard's voice sharpened. "Obey." Karin forced himself back up, trembling for only a fraction of a second before it vanished behind discipline. They marched us out. The corridor beyond was sterile and bright, filled with the quiet hum of a massive ship. Other doors lined the walls, each one sealed tight. Other prisoners. My stomach turned. We were led into a larger chamber that smelled of chemicals and cold metal. In the center was a platform surrounded by scanning beams and floating hollow displays. A figure waited there, taller than the guards, wearing robes that shimmered like oil. A commander. His eyes were black, endless, like two holes punched in reality. He looked at me first, then Karin, and his voice was smooth as poison. "So," he said, "the human and the disgraced champion." I clenched my fists. Karin didn't speak. His jaw was locked. The commander stepped closer, circling us like we were merchandise. "You will be useful," he said, "in different ways." His gaze lingered on Karin. "You were bred for war, yet you chose mercy, weakness." Karin's hands flexed once. The commander smiled. "And you, human, you are fascinating, so fragile, yet you crash into our systems like a meteor." He leaned in closer to me and I fought the urge to step back. "You will show us how." Before I could respond, a beam of light swept over my body. Cold, invasive, I gritted my teeth. The commander turned away, gesturing lazily. "Test them," he said. The guards obeyed. They split us up. Karin dragged toward a restraint frame, me shoved toward the platform. I stumbled, catching myself before I fell. Then I felt it. A thin sting at the base of my skull, a needle I never saw. The world tilted, my knees buckled. I hit the platform hard, vision blurring. Sounds became distant, muffled, like I was underwater. Above me, the commander's voice drifted like an echo. "Let us see what makes humans survive." I tried to move, I couldn't. Panic surged, sharp and animal. Then a shadow fell over my face. Karin, he wasn't free. His arms were restrained. His collar glowed faintly. But he had turned his head toward me, silver eyes burning with something raw and furious. His voice cut through the haze, low and urgent. "Mara." I forced my eyes to focus. He leaned as far as he could, straining against the restraints, and he whispered so quietly I almost thought it was the drug talking, "If we escape, I will marry you." My breath caught. The words didn't belong here, in a room built for suffering, surrounded by enemies. They sounded impossible. I blinked hard, heart slamming in my chest. What?" I slurred, fighting the fog. Karin's gaze didn't waver. "It is my vow," he said, "to bind fate, to give you reason to live." My throat tightened. "What makes you think we'll escape?" I whispered back. His eyes narrowed. Because for the first time since I'd met him, he looked like the cage wasn't a cage at all, it was an insult. "Because," he said, voice rough, "I refuse to die here." The tests began. They tried to break my mind first. Not with pain, not immediately, with pressure. Questions in a language I barely understood, flashing lights, scans that made my bones ache. They showed me images of Earth, of my ship breaking apart, of my crew drifting lifeless through space. Then they showed me something worse. A human colony burning, children running. A scream that sounded like my little sister's voice, except she was light years away. It was manipulation, psychological warfare, I knew it, and still my nails dug into my palms until blood slicked my skin. The commander watched with satisfaction. "Your species is driven by attachment," he murmured. "Love, fear, loyalty, you are vulnerable." I spat at his boots. The guards shocked me for it. Pain exploded through my muscles. I screamed, couldn't stop it. But when it passed, I forced myself to laugh. It came out ragged and broken, but it was laughter. The commander's expression darkened slightly. "What is amusing?" I looked him dead in his endless eyes. "You think hurting me means you're winning," I said through shaking breath. "That's cute." His mouth tightened. He gestured sharply. "More." They broke Karin differently. They didn't test his mind. They tested his honor. They forced him into combat against training drones while his collar punished him every time he fought too well. When he held back, the guards mocked him. When he pushed through the pain to strike, the collar punished him harder. They wanted him obedient. They wanted him hollow, but Karan wasn't hollow, he was something worse for them. He was a storm trapped in a bottle. Every time he collapsed, he got up again. Every time his breath hitched from pain, he steadied it. And every time he looked at me across the chamber, that vow burned between us like a secret blade. If we escape, I will marry you. It should have felt ridiculous. Instead, it felt like oxygen, days blurred. They returned us to the prison hold, always together, always exhausted. Sometimes I shook uncontrollably from the lingering aftershocks of their devices. Sometimes Karan sat silently in the corner, his fists clenched so tight his knuckles looked like stone. One cycle after they left us with drugged food again, I found myself staring at the tray like it was an enemy. I can't keep doing this, I whispered. Karan's gaze lifted. You will, he said. I laughed bitterly. That's not advice, that's a command. Humans are stubborn, he replied. You told me. I stared at him. He was watching me differently now, not like a puzzle, not like prey, like an equal. I swallowed hard. How long have you been here? I asked. His jaw tightened. Long enough, he said, to learn their patterns. That made me sit up straighter despite the ache in my ribs. Patterns? I echoed. You have a plan. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he reached up and touched the collar at his neck. It responds to aggression, he said, and obedience, but it delays. My heart picked up. A collar with a delay meant there was a window, a moment, a weakness. What about the cage? I asked. He looked at the wall. It is a field. It can be disrupted briefly. I crawled closer, voice low. How? His gaze sharpened. Your kind carries fire in your mind, he said. You see options where others see walls. I frowned. That's poetic, but I need steps. Karan made that almost smile again. Then listen, he said, and be loud later. The plan was insane. It involved the drugged food trays, the field emitter nodes hidden behind the walls, and a timing window during guard shift change that lasted only 9 breaths. 9 breaths, that was nothing, but humans have done impossible things in less. Karan would provoke the collar just enough to create a feedback surge. I would use the surge to overload the tray's heating coil, turning it into a crude EMP. It wouldn't fry the ship, it would just flicker the field long enough for us to push through. Then we'd run, we wouldn't have weapons, we wouldn't have armor, we wouldn't have a ship, we'd have speed, and we'd have each other. I stared at him after he finished explaining. That's your plan, I whispered. Yes, I huffed a laugh. It's suicidal. His gaze locked onto mine. So is captivity. My chest tightened again. Then his voice dropped, softer, rougher, like it scraped its way out of him, and I have not forgotten my vow. Heat climbed my throat. I forced myself to look away. Don't get ahead of yourself, warrior. Karan's eyes gleamed. I do not, he said. I endure. The moment came on the next cycle. The guards brought the tray. The door sealed. Karan stood in the center of the room. I positioned myself beside the tray, fingers trembling. He looked at me once. Ready, he said. As I'll ever be, I whispered. Karan inhaled. Then he slammed his fist into the wall hard. The collar flashed bright and he screamed through clenched teeth. Energy rippled through him. His muscles seized, but he didn't stop. He hit the wall again and again. The collar's punishment grew stronger, the glow blinding. Then a crackle, a stutter in the light. The field flickered. My heart slammed. Now, I grabbed the tray, ripped out the heating panel with shaking hands, and jammed my thumb into the exposed circuit. Pain shot up my arm as it burned. I screamed, but I held on. The coil sparked violently. A pulse blasted outward. The light in the room stuttered. The walls trembled. For half a breath, the cage was nothing but air. Karan, I shouted. He lunged, grabbing me with one massive arm, hauling me forward. We slammed through the field like breaking the surface of water. The room behind us sealed again, but we were out. Alarms exploded into sound. The corridor lights flashed red. Karan ran like the ship itself had insulted him. I clung to his arm, feet barely keeping pace. Guards shouted in the distance. Footsteps thundered, a drone zipped past, scanning. Karan turned sharply, ducking into a maintenance passage just as a stun bolt sizzled past where my head had been. My breath tore in my lungs. Where are we going? I gasped. Hangar, Karan growled. Ships. You know where it is, I shouted. I learned, he snapped. While they thought me broken, my chest surged with fierce pride. They didn't understand him, they didn't understand us. We burst into a wider corridor only to see a squad of guards blocking the path ahead. Weapons raised. Karan stopped so fast I nearly collided with him. For a heartbeat, everything froze. Then Karan leaned down, his voice dropped to a whisper warm and deadly. Stay behind me, my heart hammered. He stepped forward. The lead guard lifted the collar device. Karan's collar flashed. He staggered, but he didn't fall. He gritted his teeth, muscles trembling with pain, and kept walking. One step. Another. The guards hesitated, because no prisoner should be able to move under collar punishment. But Karin wasn't just moving, he was advancing like an execution. I saw it then, what they'd missed. Karin didn't endure pain because he didn't feel it. He endured it because he decided it wasn't allowed to win. He roared, a sound that filled the corridor like war itself, and slammed into the guards. Chaos erupted. Weapons fired, stun bolts flashed. Karin took hits, his body jerking, but he grabbed one guard and threw him into another like they weighed nothing. I didn't have a weapon, so I did the only human thing I could. I grabbed the fallen collar device from the floor, and I hit the lead guard in the face with it. Hard, the guard shrieked, stumbling back. Karin saw something fierce and proud lit in his eyes. "Mara," he shouted. "Yeah," I yelled back, voice shaking with adrenaline. Humans are loud. Karin let out something that might have been laughter mid-fight. We pushed through, sprinting over the fallen. Alarms wailed louder. The ship trembled, maybe locking down. The hangar doors loomed ahead, huge, sealed. A control panel glowed beside it. I ran to it, fingers flying. "Please tell me you know how to open this," I gasped. Karin grabbed the panel and ripped it off the wall. Wires sparked. The door shuddered, then began to open. I stared at him in disbelief. "What?" He glanced back, silver eyes blazing. "You said humans break things," he growled. "I am learning." The hangar opened. Inside were sleek alien fighters docked in rows like knives waiting to be thrown. Karin grabbed my hand. We ran. We reached the nearest fighter just as guards poured into the hangar behind us. Karin shoved me into the cockpit. "Fly," he barked. "I'm a pilot, not a miracle worker," I shouted, staring at the alien controls. Karin slammed into the seat beside me, massive hands working at the harness. "I will make miracles," he said, weapons fired. The ship rocked as bolts struck the hull. I slammed my hands on the controls, guessing, praying. The fighter hummed alive, energy surged. The console lit up in symbols I didn't understand. Karin grabbed a lever and yanked. The ship lurched forward. I screamed as the hangar floor vanished beneath us. We shot out into open space like a bullet escaping a gun. Stars exploded around us. Behind, the prison ship grew smaller. Then a warning blared. "Enemy fighters launching." "Of course," I muttered. Karin leaned close, voice fierce. "You will fly," he said. "I will fight." "You can't fight in here," I snapped. He bared his teeth. "Watch me." He reached into a compartment, pulled out a weapon mounted for ship defense, and his hands moved with terrifying familiarity. The first enemy fighter screamed toward us. Karin fired. A pulse of energy hit it dead center. It exploded in silent light. My jaw dropped. "Karin," I shouted. He didn't look at me. "Focus, wife-to-be," he growled. I nearly choked. "Oh my God," I sputtered. "We are not married." He finally glanced at me, eyes bright with something dangerously close to joy. "Not yet," he said. We flew hard into the stars, engines screaming. 2 enemy fighters still pursued. I pushed the craft into a sharp roll, barely controlling the alien controls. My arms shook from exhaustion, pain, adrenaline. The fighters gained. Karin fired again, missed. The enemy bolts grazed our wing. Warning lights screamed. "We're going down," I yelled. Karin leaned in close, voice steady. "No," he said, "we are escaping." Then he reached over, grabbed my hand, and squeezed once, strong enough to anchor me. Something snapped into place inside my chest. "Humans don't win because we're the strongest. We win because we refuse to stop." I straightened my shoulders. "All right," I whispered, "let's do it." I yanked a lever, forcing the fighter into a maneuver that felt suicidal. The ship shook violently, but the enemy overshot us. Karin fired, direct hit. The fighter burst apart, only one left. It lined up behind us, charging weapons. I scanned the console desperately, then I saw it. A glowing button marked with a symbol like a star collapsing. "What does this do?" I shouted. Karin's eyes widened. "Do not press." I pressed it. A surge of energy blasted behind us like a shockwave. The remaining enemy fighter slammed into the ripple and disintegrated. The cabin went silent. Karin stared at me. I stared back. "What?" I said weakly. His mouth twitched into that rare, real smile. "You are chaos," he said softly. "Thank you," I replied. His eyes softened just a fraction, then he leaned closer, voice low enough to feel like a secret again. "We escaped," he whispered. My heart skipped. I swallowed hard. "Yeah." His gaze flicked to my lips, then back to my eyes. His voice turned rough. "My vow remains," I exhaled shakily. "Karin," I started. He touched his collar, still faintly glowing. "I will remove this," he said. "I will reclaim my honor, and then I will claim you." My cheeks burned. "You're very confident," I muttered. He leaned back slightly, eyes gleaming like starlight off steel. "I am a warrior," he said. "Confidence is my weapon." I shook my head, breathless laughter escaping me, and somewhere behind us, far in the dark, the prison ship began to turn, not retreating, tracking. My laughter died. Karin's gaze sharpened. They will not let us go, he growled. The stars ahead stretched into endless darkness. We were free but not safe. I gripped the controls harder, eyes narrowing. Then we run, I said, and we don't stop. Karin's voice was a promise wrapped in fire. Yes, he said, we run. And in the deep black of space, a new signal blinked on our stolen fighter's console, a distress beacon. Human nearby, I stared at it, heart racing. Karin leaned in, voice low. Your people, he said. I nodded. But the beacon wasn't just a call for help. It carried a warning, 2 words. Don't trust, then it cut off. I felt my blood turn cold. Karin's hand tightened over mine, and he whispered, fierce and certain, whatever comes, we face it together. The stars ahead waited like a battlefield, and somewhere out there something was already hunting us. We thought escaping was the hard part until the human distress beacon returned with my name in its final message.